Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. On this video I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. So according to the AS, they have recently said that Manchester United are closing in on the signing of Ousane Dembele from Barcelona, and it said he will cost us around £50 million. Barcelona have said that they are determined to cash in on the player so they can get Memphis Depay from Lyon. But Ousane Dembele has come out and said that he wants to stay at Barcelona and fight for his place. That's according to Sky in Germany. You've got to say that Ousane Dembele has endured a difficult time at Barcelona. He's been at Barcelona now for around 3 years or so. Barcelona did get him for around £135 million. Barcelona paid around £96 million up front, was it? With around £40 million in add-ons. And he has got a contract with Barcelona until 2022. But Ousane Dembele sustained quite a few injuries as a Barcelona player. He recently turned up late for training. But we are seeing him as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. He is only the age of 23. He can play on the left wing and he can also play on the right wing. I think he can also play as a striker. But my only element of concern about him is that he is injury prone. Barcelona have let a couple of players go, haven't they? You know, they let Luis Suarez go. They also let Arturo Vidal go. I thought Ousane Dembele was very, very good during his time at Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, before he was at Borussia Dortmund, he was at Rennes. So that's the breaking news on him. Now let me delve into some news on Jadon Sancho. So there was reports coming out from Sky Sports yesterday saying that Manchester United had a £91.3 million bid turned down from Borussia Dortmund for Jadon Sancho. So we'd offered like £75 million up front with £18 million in add-ons. But we've denied that we have obviously put this bid in. Now, Jadon Sancho has been left out of Borussia Dortmund's squad for their game tonight against Bayern Munich in the German Super Cup. Marco Reus has recently said that Sancho will stay at Dortmund for 1 more year. We still do remain in talks. I heard that, Sancho has agreed personal terms with Manchester United on a long-term contract. So do you think Sancho to Manchester United is closer than ever? Or do you think his move to Manchester United is still unlikely? Now, don't forget, Sebastian Kehl, who's Borussia Dortmund's head of football, he recently said that Sancho is staying at Dortmund and he won't be leaving this summer. And he says Man United won't get him in a cut price deal. Lucien Favre, quite a few weeks ago, also said the exact same thing. Michael Zorg, Dortmund's sporting director, said that Sancho will be staying at Dortmund. But I think if we don't sign him now, we may never sign him, because next year, and I think, in the next couple of years, if he's still at Dortmund, we will face more competition for him. From my own perception, I think Sancho is too expensive. Dortmund's valuation is £108 million. And throughout the course of this Jadon Sancho transfer saga, it has been Borussia Dortmund's asking price that has been the stumbling block. I think it's probably worth from between £60 to £70 million, maybe £80 million at the most. But Solskjaer's been very infuriated with this Jadon Sancho transfer saga because, it has gone on for like the last 3 years. Obviously, he is our number one priority target. But we're not giving up on the signing of the player. Now, around 4 or 5 weeks ago, Sancho's move to Manchester United looked dead in the water, didn't it? Because Dortmund said to us back in August that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We missed out on that deadline, so Sancho decided to go out on pre-season. Then it mentioned that we'd abandoned our chase for the player until next summer. So yeah, but Solskjaer has held several talks with the player, and Sancho's reportedly told him that he wants to come to Manchester United. And Solskjaer recently told Sancho that, he's confident that a deal will be done soon. We was hoping to sign him before we played Crystal Palace, but obviously, it didn't happen. Now, I've already outlined the reasons why I want Sancho at Manchester United. Sancho has enjoyed a few good years with Dortmund. This is now, I think, his 4th season with Dortmund. Dortmund only paid £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. The main explanation why I left Manchester City is because he didn't get assured any first-team opportunities at Man City. And before he was at City, he was at Watford. He was at Watford from the age of 7 to the age of 14. By the way, Sancho still got a contract with Dortmund until 2022. Like I said, we are willing to offer him the number 7 because he'd fulfill number 7 well, and obviously we've got number 7 vacant at the moment. And Dortmund have let quite a few of their big names go in recent years, don't forget. They let the likes of Christian Pulisic go, they let Aubameyang go, they let Mkhitaryan go, they let Ousane Dembele go, Robert Lewandowski, Matt Hummels, they let Shinji Kagawa go at one point. So, yeah. But Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist, he's spoken about this Jadon Sancho transfer saga, and he said not so long ago that he still wants to come to Manchester United. He was the one that brought the news out back in early August, was it, saying that Sancho had agreed the personal terms and he was set to sign a 5-year deal with Manchester United. But yeah, there's a lot of alternatives now on our agenda. Not only Ousane Dembele, we've been looking at Ivan Perisic, we've been looking at Douglas Costa, we've been looking at Antoine Fati Vieira. Don't forget, Ismail Assar from Watford, he's on our agenda. He'd be available for around £40 million, still a much cheaper solution than Sancho. Liverpool have recently been interested in him. It recently said that Dortmund were interested in him. Watford paid around £30 million for Ismail Assar from Rennes last year. And he's got a contract with Watford until 2024. But obviously he's now Premier League proven. Now, I want to delve into some news on Alex Telles from Porto. So, like I updated you yesterday, it said that Manchester United have put a second bid in for Alex Telles, and this was obviously stemming from Mohamed Bouafsi from RMC Sport. I think we have offered around €10 million, is it, or something like that, I heard. He says we're only willing to pay around £12 million for the player. So Man United and Porto are £6 million apart of their valuations, because Porto have said that they want around £18 million for the player. There was reports coming out a couple of days ago saying that we'd submitted a £12 million bid. Alex Telles recently urged Porto to lower their asking price because he does want to leave Porto. Now, he's already agreed personal terms with Manchester United, and he has agreed a 5-year contract with the football club worth around £70,000 a week, but we are still in negotiations with Porto over a fee. Now, he currently wears the number 13 at Porto at the moment. When he was at Galatasaray, he wore the number 15. So he probably would wear one of these shirt numbers if he comes to Manchester United. I think he probably will be our second signing in this summer transfer window. But I'd love Alex Telles to come to the football club because obviously he's predominantly a left-back and Manchester United are in search for a left-back. We have got two predominant left-backs in the team at the moment, and that's Luke Shaw. He's our first choice left-back, but my element of concern about Luke Shaw is injury-prone. Recently recovered from an ankle injury not so long ago. And Brandon Williams, he's our backup left-back. And Telles has got a release clause of around £36 million. He's into the final year of his contract with Porto, so from a Porto perspective, they'd rather cash in for him now rather than letting go on a free transfer next year. He's enjoyed quite a few years with Porto, by the way. Before he was at Porto, he was at Inter Milan. He was on loan at Inter Milan. Before he was at Inter Milan, he was at Galatasaray, like I mentioned. When he was younger, he played for Grêmio and Juventude. He is the age of 27, so he is highly experienced. If Porto do sell him, they do have to pay around 10% of the transfer fee to Galatasaray due to the sell-on clause. But Telles was saying last week he was hoping to complete a transfer to Manchester United. We've been looking at a couple of alternatives to him. You know, if we don't get him on the board, we've been obviously looking at Tagliafico from Ajax. We've been looking at Torre from Monaco. So that is the latest on the transfer news. But like I said, this is the final week of the transfer window. And as it stands at the moment, Manchester United have only made one signing, and that was Donny van der Beek. But he's a good signing, but we need more than Donny van der Beek. And Solskjaer has revealed a few times that he's been very infuriated with the board. Main explanation is over the lack of transfer business in this summer transfer window. And I think up until this point, Solskjaer's not been backed enough. And I think he does deserve more backing as Manchester United manager because he's publicly admitted that Man United have got to spend money in this summer transfer window. But we've been very critical of the board for several years anyway because our recruitment policy's been poor for several years. I think the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't been backed enough. We've also overpaid for players and we've made a lot of mistakes in the last 7 years because I think a lot of the players we've brought in the last 7 years haven't been the right calibre players for Man United. I think there's also some players we've given contracts to who we shouldn't have given new contracts to. You know, Woodward's been at the football club since 2012 and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. So Woodward's been with us around 8 years and the Glazers have been with us around 15 years. Maybe you can say Matt Judge is to blame as well. For the failure of transfers. So there you go. But another infuriating thing, we've missed out on a lot of our targets, haven't we? You know, we missed out on Sergio Reguilon, he went to Tottenham. We also missed out on Bale, he went back to Tottenham. We missed out on Erling Haaland in January. We also missed out on Jude Bellingham. We missed out on Jack Grealish because a few weeks ago he signed a 5-year deal with Aston Villa. And we're also looking to offload players, so we need to focus on that as well as the incomings. And it says this week we could sell up to 7 players. But I said it's very important that we sell players so we generate money. It'll help us with our rebuilding process and quite frankly, there is still deadwood in the squad. Now, as you all know, we've just recently let Andres Pereira go. He's just joined Lazio on a 1-season loan. It includes an option to buy for just over £24 million. It includes a 5-year contract worth around £35,000 a week. So Pereira has now gone. There's obviously no rumours of Jesse Lingard leaving the football club. I think Solskjaer does want Lingard to stay though. Obviously, Lingard's been part of the club for several years. But I think Lingard's representatives have been talking with clubs in England. He said the other week that Tottenham were interested in Jesse Lingard and Jose Mourinho's keen on reuniting with him. And it says Tottenham were preparing to put around the £30 million bidding for him. As Lingard got around a year left on his Man United contract, but the club do have an option to extend it for the further year. Chris Smalling, you know the news on him. We're looking to offload him. He recently said that Roma are preparing to put a second bid in for Chris Smalling. I think their first bid was around £12 million. That's short of our valuation because we said we want around £18 million for Smalling. Don't forget Smalling was out on loan with Roma last season. Smalling's been part of the club for several years. I think he's been at Manchester United now a good 9 or 10 years, but he has been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. We're also looking to offload Marcus Rojo. He hasn't really established himself as a first team regular as Rojo since he came in. We got Rojo back in 2014 from Sporting Lisbon for £16 million. Rojo's contract with us expires next year. And don't forget last season he was out on loan with Estudiantes. We're also looking to offload Phil Jones. He's another player we're looking to get rid of, because he doesn't get in the team now. I think he's currently injured at the moment. You know, Phil Jones has enjoyed around 9-10 years at the club. He's been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Diego Dalot, we're looking to offload him. Now, I give you the news on him yesterday. Di Marzio had come out and said that AC Milan have put a loan offer in for him, and Fabrizio Romano said it includes an option to buy. Diego Dalot can't get in our team because you've obviously got Anwan Bissaka, that's our first choice right back, and you've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah, that's our backup right back. You've got Brandon Williams that can also be deployed as a right back, so Diego Dalot can't get in the team, can he? You know, Diego Dalot's been at the club a couple of years now. We got him in Jose Mourinho's final transfer window. We paid around £19 million for him from Porto. He has still got a contract with us until 2023. I think he's played around 34 times for the club. But the first part of last season, Diego Dalot had back-to-back injuries. But I think we want to get rid of him permanently. Sergio Romero, he's also open to leaving the football club, because Romero's obviously now third choice goalkeeper, because Dean Henderson recently returned, and Romero won't want to stay at Manchester United as third choice goalkeeper, will he? You know, Romero's enjoyed around 5 years with the football club. He's always been our backup, hasn't he? We got him on a free from San Pandora back in 2015. You know, Romero's just got under a year left on his Man United contract, but the club do have an option to extend it for a further year. There's also been rumours of Daniel James possibly leaving the football club. I think if we sign Sancho or another winger, maybe Daniel James will go. I think we're willing to let him go out on loan. Leeds United have recently expressed their interest. It says Leeds have inquired about getting him on loan. It said not so long ago that Leeds were preparing to put around the £12 million bidding for him. But Daniel James recently said that he wants to stay at Manchester United and fight for his place. Now, back in June 2019, Leeds came close to getting him. Everything had been agreed, but Swansea had pulled out of the deal right at the final hurdle. But we got him in June last year instead. We got him for £18 million. James did sign a 5-year deal with Man United with an option of a further year. James can play on the left and he can also play on the right. But when we've played him, we've put him on that right, even though he's more effective from that left-hand side. You know? But, like I said, I credit Solskjaer because he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he came in to Manchester United. You know, we've seen the likes of Lukaku leave the club. We've seen Sanchez leave. We've seen Pereira leave recently. We've seen Angel Gomez leave. Seen Herrera leave. Seen Fellaini leave. Seen Darmian leave. Seen Valencia and Young leave. We've also loaned a few players out as well. We loaned Heath-Tron out to Werder Bremen, didn't we loan Dylan Levitt out? And I think we loaned Joe Pereira out again for another season. So he's got rid of a lot of players. I think there's 2 players Manchester United should have kept, and that was Ander Herrera and Romelu Lukaku. And I think Solskjaer's also made some good signings so far, like I've mentioned before. He's spent around £240 million so far at the football club. Last summer, Solskjaer brought Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. And in January, he brought Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo in. And recently brought Donny van der Beek in. He's also brought a few academy players into the football club. Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now for nearly 2 years. Last season was obviously his first full season at the club. And to be fair, he did exceed most of his expectations. Obviously, got us qualification for the Champions League. We also finished 3rd and we progressed to 3 semi-finals. We got to the FA Cup semi-final, the Europa League semi-final and the EFL Cup semi-final. But the first part of last season, don't forget, we enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season. And at that point, Solskjaer was very close to getting sacked as Manchester United manager. But this season is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's second full season at the club. And I said this season is big for Solskjaer. It really, really is. Now, we've played 3 games so far this season. Obviously, lost our opening game against Crystal Palace 3-1. That was our worst defeat on an opening day of a Premier League season since 1995. And it was the second season in a row that Crystal Palace had beaten us at Old Trafford in the league. But since that defeat, we've bounced back. We've won our last 2 games. Beat Luton in the Carabao Cup 3-0. And we recently beat Brighton in the league by 3-2. You can say, we was lucky to win that game. But Solskjaer knows that he's got to exceed his expectations this season if he is to keep his job at Manchester United. I think he's got to guide us to a top 4 finish. And he's also got to win a trophy if he's to be given another season after this season. I want us to win a trophy because we've not yet won out in terms of silverware under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And we haven't won a trophy for over 3 years. So the last time we won a trophy was under the Jose Mourinho era when we won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season. Back under Louis van Gaal era, we did win the FA Cup. So we've only won 3 trophies since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement. But I always said Solskjaer needed another season because it is a transition period and it has been a transition period for a while. Don't forget Solskjaer's inheriting a lot of players here from the Jose Mourinho era. Still inheriting a few players here from the Van Gaal era. Still 1 player here from the Moyes era and still a few players here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And I think Solskjaer has definitely got to improve on his decision making because I think in a lot of games for Manchester United, he's been very tactically naive. And I still believe that there's certain players that have got to step up to the plate because they've been accountable for our inconsistency as well. And I think there's still certain aspects of our game that I've got to improve. But don't get me wrong, we've had some good periods under the Solskjaer era. Like I said, we went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions. We went on a 14-game unbeaten run in the league until Palace had beaten us on the opening day of the season. Solskjaer did very, very well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. So there's definitely positives to take. We've also extended a lot of players' contracts, since he got recommended into the football club. But I can give you more of a perception on Solskjaer as we delve more into the season. If we did decide to sack Solskjaer, who would come in to replace him? Now, before Solskjaer got the job permanently in March last year, there was talks of Mauricio Pochettino obviously coming in to replace him. Now, I do like Mauricio Pochettino, well proven in the Premier League. He's dealt with top players, but my only element of concern about Pochettino is that he hasn't won out in terms of silverware, but he did enjoy a good 5.5 years with Tottenham. Massimiliano Allegri, he was linked to the managerial role at one point, but he's never managed in the Premier League, so that's my element of concern about him. And at one point, Zinedine Zidane, there was talks of him coming in. Because some Man United fans think we've got to get a manager in with a proven pedigree, because let's be honest, Solskjaer has not got a proven pedigree, has he? He's only won a couple of trophies, and I think that was during his time at Molde, won a few Norwegian titles. Didn't win a thing at Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. The main explanation why he got sacked from Cardiff is because he ended up getting them relegated. But he has gained managerial experience, reflecting how long now he's been at Manchester United. And I think he's just got under 2 years left on his current contract. But Solskjaer, don't forget, is our 4th permanent manager since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. We've sacked 3 managers since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And that was David Moyes. He got sacked after 8 or 9 months. He should have never been appointed in as Manchester United manager in the first place, and Ferguson was at the fault for that, appointing him in. We didn't win out under the Moyes era. We finished 7th, I think, under the Moyes era, and I think that's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Louis van Gaal got sacked after 2 years. We did win the FA Cup under him, though. And Jose Mourinho, he got sacked after 2.5 years, despite him winning the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season. But in the last 7 years, we've recruited around 32, 33 players in and spent close to the £1 billion range on them, don't forget. But I just think it's going to be hard for any manager at Manchester United to replicate Ferguson's legacy or to last as long as Ferguson did. Like I've said on so many of my videos, Ferguson endured 26, 27 years at Man United, won a total of 38 major honours, including 13 Premier League titles. We are the most successful team in Premier League history at the moment, like I mentioned. But we have not won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won it for seven years or so now. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United, did he? And I think for Manchester United to mount a title challenger, we've got to make at least a couple of more signings, haven't we? There's key areas where we are lacking. I think we need a left-back, we need a winger, we need a centre-half, but I think we're not going to get a centre-half until next summer now. We have got 7 centre-halves in the team, obviously. I think we have at least a good 3 or 4 years off from winning the Premier League title, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But there's still a lot of players that Man United will keep, because we've still got a lot of good players in our team, like I've already mentioned to you. We've got obviously Martial, who's good, Rashford, who's good, Fred McTominay, Matic have all really, really improved. Greenwood's done well, Williams has done well, Shaw's improved under Solskjaer. I think the signings he's brought in have done well. Pogba hasn't had a good start to this season, but towards the end of last season did well. So there's players that have improved. There really, really is. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you with today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And on my next video, I'll be giving you my starting 11 prediction for tonight's game against Brighton in the Carabao Cup. Take care. God bless.